Here we go.
Stop video.
Should have started that first. Okay, good evening. Welcome. My name is Beth Foss, and I am the Director of Operations at the CRF, and this is the first session of the summer of 2025. And I think this is going to be actually really exciting and really fun. This is going to be a webinar in which we're going to learn about a topic that we've all been reading and hearing a lot about, which is artificial intelligence, AI. So I want to welcome everyone here. We are recording the session. If you have questions throughout Shawn's talk tonight, just go ahead and use the chat feature or the question and answers, and I will be monitoring that. And at times, Shawn's going to just stop. We'll take your questions and we'll answer them or wait till the end. That's more than fine too. Wanted to just make sure. Nope, I think I covered all of it. Shawn's going to be sharing a little bit more about how he got into artificial intelligence. So let's get started. All right. So welcome, Shawn. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So let me start by just giving a little introduction to myself and I'll go through the first part of my life, which was the boring part. My name is Shawn Keene. I'm a totally blind middle-aged man from Texas. I live in Fort Worth, Texas. I probably got some gray hair somewhere. I don't know. I can't see myself. Like I said, I'm totally blind. And throughout tonight, you'll probably hear my screen reader, which is a software called JAWS. And some of you might be familiar with that. I don't know what the mix of actually blind versus low vision folks are, but I'm totally blind. I like to say I'm totally out of sight. And the best part is when people ask me if I've been blind all my life, I can say not yet. So um, I um I was born with glaucoma. This eye disease that a lot of people have, and usually people get it when they're older. And I got it from birth, and I had a little bit of vision growing up, but not nearly enough to read or um, essentially I started learning Braille in first grade and when I got my first computer, I think I was 10 years old. And really that was magic. That was like the beginning of my life and I didn't know it at the time, but computers were have been the biggest thing in my life so far. And so I grew up as a blind guy. I lost all of my vision when I was about 20 years old. And at the time, I went and I was living in Austin, Texas, always lived in Texas. And I was just, I was just an average guy. I mean, I tried to go to college. I didn't like college. I was trying to find myself, trying to figure out who I was, and, just what everybody does at that age, really. And luckily, at when I was like finally, when I was about 30, I finally figured out what I wanted to do, and that was to teach people that were blind how to use technology. And so I spent from about 2010 till probably 2020 or so as an assistive technology trainer. I'd go around and teach people how to use computers with magnification or speech or just whatever the tool was. That's what I used to do and it was a good job. And I worked as a contractor, and I worked as for a nonprofit here in Texas, and and I kind of finished out that part of my career working for the state of Texas. In most states, there's a blindness rehabilitation service, and in Texas, it's called the Texas Workforce. And so I worked for them in their program support for 3 years until right around, I guess it was last year, about March of last year. And let me kind of back up from March because around January of 2022 is kind of when my life got interesting. I had a stroke. I had a stroke that affected my balance and my speech a little bit, and it's probably the best thing that ever happened to me. Because the best part is I didn't die. Although I kind of tell people now that assistive tech, IT, computer nerd, that kind of side, that side of me kind of died. But the part that awoke in me was creativity. And so right around November of 2022, this new phrase started getting bounced around all over the place, artificial intelligence. And all that means is a really smart computer that basically knows everything. I'm sure you've heard all kinds of things, and we're here to talk about how AI is effective, how it's used, what you can use it for, and all that. There is a lot of fear that gets portrayed and a lot of negativity that gets portrayed, and I'm not here to sidestep that. I'm open to answering questions about it, but that's not the focus of this. This is all the positives of AI. And for blind people, and really for anyone, there's a lot. There's a lot of positivity around AI. So, um, again, AI is a really smart computer. Think of like having a genius 3-year-old. It's really smart, but it's not always really focused. So you constantly have to communicate with it and keep it on track. I'm sure anybody that's had kids has probably had to go through something like that, and trying to keep children focused on an item. So you have a genius computer that is unfocused. It's really smart. It can do some really amazing things, but you got to constantly remind it how to stay on task. And the way you do that is with this. Think of it as a programming language. It's called prompting, AI prompting. And all that means, anytime I say prompting, it's just how you communicate with an AI computer. So um, let me back up a little bit here and talk about the different flavors of AI, because there's different, we'll call what they're called as models. And whenever you hear me say model, all that is a computer, an AI computer that's trained on a specific task. So the most basic version of that is called an LLM. You don't have to remember this. This is just really for context, just so you kind of understand the rest of the stuff we'll talk about tonight and next week. An LLM is called a large language model. So think of a computer system that's trained on every language ever created by man and knows every book, every bit of history and all of that ever created in text. A large language model can understand language. I could type in Spanish to a large language model and it would have no trouble understanding me. I could type in Chinese. I could type in English, Spanish, and Chinese, and it would have no trouble understanding me whatsoever. Um, so what you use a large language model or LLM for is to manipulate text. And so right around November of 2022, when I got into I really at the time didn't even understand what I had my hands on, what I was learning. Because I think the first time I tried it, I think I had it translate something for me. I took an email and said, translate this to Spanish. And my wife, who is also blind, Mindy, she's Latino. She speaks Spanish. So she listened to it. She's like, wow, that's amazing. It did it perfect. Um, so a large language model is a computer that's trained on text. You also have models that are trained on images, how to not just how to make an image or but also how to describe an image. That's an image AI model. And that's where things get really interesting for a blind person like me, is because now with software and tools, I can have images or visual information described to me by a computer. So an image AI or an image model is simply a computer system that's trained on billions, yes, I did say billions of images. One of the AI image models out there right now is trained on something like 13 billion images. So not only does it know what a dog is, it knows what a dog can do, what humans like about dogs. It knows not just what things are and what they can be used for, but what all the context for those items are. That's an image AI model. It
Hey,
can
Sean,
describe, yes,
can I ask you just a real quick question as I'm listening to you? This LLM model, the image trained on imaging, trained on texting, is that a choice that you have to make which model you want, or is are all of those things included in one AI LLM, if that
that's a
makes
great
sense?
question. Yeah, that's a great question because you use different models for different things. So, if I want to manipulate text, I'm going to use a LLM just to work with text. But if I want to do something with text and images, I might use an image model. It may not be the best use for that, but you can mix and match to a point. But generally, if you're going to do something with text, you use a text model. If you're going to do something with images, you use an image model. If you want video, you can do that, or sound, or music. So there are different models, and it's best to use them for what they're trained on. Um, there's a good word, training. You'll hear that a lot. And all that is what it sounds like. So the model, whether it's text or images, is trained on a subset of information. So like the image model, I said the image model is trained on 13 billion images. So in the beginning, that's exactly what they're doing. They're training that model to understand what images are and what the objects or things in the images are. That's training. They can train on text. So a large language model is trained on everything having to do with text. I think when OpenAI, when this Chat GPT came out, and Chat GPT is an AI model. It can handle images and text and video and a lot of things, but overall, it's a model, and there are different models within ChatGPT, but that's getting a little far ahead. I don't want to go that far ahead right now. Um, just understand that uh, a model can be trained on different modalities, different types of content, whether it's video, images, music, sound, virtually anything you can think of, an AI model could be trained on. And that's just training is just the process of teaching that computer how to manipulate, how to use that information. Well, hopefully that answered your question there. Um, I'm going to continue.
And and then some.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I'm
You're
trying
good.
to
You're
take a
good.
complex topic and keep it easy.
Let
So,
me just, as you're pausing real quick, does anybody else have any questions? This might be a really good, anything that he said so far. I'm sure most of the people that are listening
or
are
going,
totally up
what?
to speed. No, no, I think they're probably all good. Okay, there's nothing coming in yet. So, okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Sean. Thanks.
Okay, so let's talk about image models, and I'm going to show an example here in a minute. It you're going to hear the speech on my computer because, like I said, I'm totally blind, and I use a software called JAWS. It's a screen reader. So I'm going to go over here to a folder,
Webinar. Webinar item. C
and I have a couple files you may see in here. One
D dog
Here's a
2.d.
dog. This is an image I made using an image model. And you're saying, "Well, you made it. How'd you do that?" Well, if you go to an image AI model, you can use language or text or your words to create an image. And so you could go to an image model and say, make me a picture of a dog, and it'll make you a picture of a dog. Now, it might be a schnauzer, it might be a lab, it might be a shepherd. But it will be a dog. The more detailed you get with your language, the better your image is going to be. So you could go back and say, give me a Labrador dog wearing sunglasses. And then the image model is going to interpret what you typed and try to create that for you. Now, You can get really advanced with that and get pretty wild with the images you can create. And sometimes it won't come out as expected. And normally the reason for that is because the computer misinterpreted what you said. It didn't understand what you put in there. But I made this picture a long time ago. This is actually probably one of my favorite images to show people. Everybody tells me it looks really good, and it's the background for my Zoom presentation as well. That's the cool thing is, as a blind guy, I can make images to use for my own content, for Zooms, for webinars I do, and all that. I can used to be I'd have to go get a graphics person to make something for me, and now I can describe it to a computer and have the computer do it all for me. Um, so using my screen reader JAWS, I have a command now for a feature that will describe this image. And so basically what happens is it sends this picture off to an image model somewhere. And the image model looks at the image and writes up a description of what is in that picture and sends it back to my computer, and we'll hear it here. So I'm going to do that so you can hear what it says about this image.
Space. P. Picture Smart. Picture Smart is in progress. The image features a realistic dash-looking golden retriever dog drinking water from a small pond. The dog's tongue is out, touching the water's surface, creating ripples and a reflection. The background is lush and green with plants and trees, suggesting a natural outdoor setting. The lighting highlights the dog's expressive eyes and the texture of its fur, creating a serene and peaceful atmosphere. Escape. Dog.
I don't know, Beth, would you say that's about right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you first came on tonight, and you do have a big picture of Old Yeller in the background, it was
Uh-huh.
kind of hard to see. I didn't see the tongue and I didn't see the surroundings, but the light that's coming in and shining down upon the dog, and it's
Press
gorgeous.
F6 to go to.
Can you see it better now?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's
Alt F4.
basically
Webinar.
a large language model
Wow.
image that's an AI image model doing its work there. It described the picture, and for a blind guy like me, that's wonderful. Because there's a lot of visual content out there in this world. I never realized how much visual content there was. So um I want to say August of 2022, or no, it was August of 2023 is when this company, you might have heard of them. They're called Be My Eyes, and they have an app, and their app is free. You can download it whether you have an iPhone or an Android device. And Be My Eyes has this feature called Be My AI, which allows anyone, whether you're blind or sighted, to take a picture of anything and have it described. And if you can imagine how magical that could be for a totally blind person, or any person with vision loss, being able to describe your surroundings or images. A funny story. So, um, at the time, uh, when I got this magical app, Be My Eyes, and started using the AI to describe all the images on my phone, I ran across this picture from back when we had family over and we're all in the pool. And so my wife is talking to me and saying, that's Junior, and that's, telling me who everybody is that it's describing in the picture. And I'm like, wow, because I'm blind. I don't see what these people look like. I don't know what they look like. And it's kind of surprising somewhat to hear what what Junior looks like and what Jose, what everybody looks like. And so now it describes this guy with short hair on an inner tube at the end, and I'm like, "Who's that?" She goes, "That's you." I'm like, "Oh, really?" I mean, most people could look at an image and immediately identify who they are. I can't. I mean, I've never actually seen myself, or not since I was maybe 9 years old, and and I'm sure I look a lot different now. Um, but the Be My Eyes is a really cool app. It's free, as I said. They have a lot of features in there, but the best one by far is the Be My AI feature, where you can take a picture of anything and have it described. Um, and let me talk about something that I'm sure will come up in somebody's questions. There's this word called hallucinations, and I want to explain kind of what that is. Because a lot of times people will go, "Oh, it got it wrong," so automatically, it's the AI's fault. There's something wrong with the AI. And a hallucination is when you take a picture and get a description of something that isn't right. I'll give you an example because back when back when I lived in the house and we had a pool, I used to go out there and float around the pool and take pictures of my whole backyard just because I never had that ability to get everything described like that. At my own, at my own time, anytime I wanted to. So I took a picture of the garage one time, and it came back and said there was a set of stairs leading up to a doorway, and I'm like, well, that's not right. So I started asking questions because with this Be My Eyes app, you can do that. You can ask questions of the image to find out more information. So I started asking, trying to figure out why it was saying there was a set of stairs, and it turned out that the way the light and the sunlight was hitting the side of the garage, I guess it was creating enough shadows that the siding, the wood siding on the side of the garage, um, went up the side of the wall and led up to a window. And somehow it misinterpreted that as being a stairway. So sometimes light will hit things wrong. Sometimes shadows will create odd things, and the computer doesn't know. It tries to interpret things as it does, and I had other experiences like that. Like I took a picture of my backyard and it said there was a big field and mountains in the background. And I knew that wasn't right because I'm in Texas. There's no mountains anywhere around me. And there was a fence around. And I think it might have misinterpreted the yard somehow and the maybe the corner of the fence, and it took that as a mountain. I don't know. But generally, if you take a picture again, you can get that sorted out. So let's see if we got any questions, because so far now we've talked about text and images, and I want to see if I don't want to leave anybody behind if you don't understand.
Sure. There is, let's just give it a second here. You and I can chat for a brief moment. There we go. And see if anybody does type in anything, and I'll share it with you. Be My Eyes is something that is familiar to a lot of our members for sure. I'm
Good.
not sure if Be My AI is something that folks use, but that's super cool. Yeah. Um, People are quiet. They're listening. It's soaking all in. You're
Good.
doing great. This is good. Just keep on going.
Be My Eyes is a great company. They're a great group of people. I know Mike Buckley, their CEO, really well, and just I can't say enough good things about that company. And if you have the Be My Eyes app, you have Be My AI. It's a tab down there at the bottom. Um, that app is amazing. It's got all kinds of hidden gems that you can find in there. Um, but besides having images described, what I was doing back in 2023 was I was on ChatGPT and different models at the time, different AI models, and I was going crazy making images. And so this dog picture actually made back in 2023. But I have thousands of images on my computer that I made, and sometimes it's just for fun. And that's the great part of this is anybody can do this. Anybody of any skill level can do can make an AI image. In fact, if you have Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp on your phone, those both have functions in there where you can make AI images. And we'll get into that next week. But if you want to go in and play around and see if you can make one, go ahead. I mean, it's it's a blast. I say overall, this AI stuff has helped my mental health more than anything in the world ever has. Um, because I was making images back in 2023. I was learning how to prompt better, how to communicate better with the LLM. And all the time I'm doing this, I'm working for the state of Texas in this boring government job. Um, I've liked a lot of the jobs I've done, but working for the state was the absolute worst. Um, I would never repeat that. But working with AI and all this stuff really has changed my life because around January of 2024, this job came open with this company called Envision Technology. And Envision Technology is a company that makes these glasses. Um, they're based off Google Glass, and they're called the Envision glasses. And basically, they're a set of glasses that have cameras on them that are linked to an AI image model. And what it allows a blind person to do is take a picture and of anything of a book and have it read to you, or take a picture of a room and it's just a very magical, very great experience for a blind person to have something like that they wear on their face, when you go out in public. So I I applied for this job with Envision Technologies to be a territory sales manager. Um, and in March 1st of 2024, I left my job with the state and became the Envision territory manager. I covered 17 states from like Delaware to Florida. And I was traveling about 3 weeks a month and going out and demonstrating these glasses and trying to get governments and agencies all over the United States, all over the southeastern United States to buy these glasses, which was really hard. Because these glasses cost like $3,000. And they do some good things, they do some amazing things. But there's some other glasses out there that do nearly the same thing. They're called the Meta Ray-Ban glasses, and you, you
Yes,
might have heard of
we're
these.
familiar with that. We've actually done a webinar on that. I was just going to ask, what's the difference then between the Meta glasses and then Envision glasses?
Well,
Sure.
I don't work for Envision anymore. I left in
Okay.
January because it was too hard to sell a $3,000 device when there's a $300 device around. So, if there's a question on that, buy the Meta glasses. Sorry, but
Yeah.
it's just all there is to it. Or use your phone. Because really that's that. But I learned so much from that experience. And and all the time I'm working for Envision, I'm still computer nerd Sean, learning how to use AI better and doing all this stuff. If you let me go ahead here and you can maybe put this in the chat, because the best way to kind of learn about me is through my website. It's blindhq.com. And one of the first things on that website is a video, a YouTube video, that a collaboration I did with
From number QRCH.
Vanderbilt University in Nashville. Um, I I one day, one weekend, I was trying to learn more about AI, and I happened to just Google search AI prompting courses. And one of the first courses to pop up
From number
this
QRCH.
um, was this course done by this professor at Vanderbilt University. His name is Dr. Jules White. And there's this platform called Coursera. And Dr. White has several, I think like 10 AI courses on there that anybody can go take. And I took one. I took a six months course in about 2 days. And I took a few other courses of his, and and after I was done, I ended up emailing him just to introduce myself. And for some reason, I mean, this guy gets, he told me he gets like hundreds of thousands of emails. And for some reason, he responded to mine. And we started talking and became friends. And he invited me to come out to Nashville, out to Vanderbilt, and record this student engagement video. And so if you go to my website, blindhq.com, you can learn more about me and the things I do, but you can also watch that video. And that's another place where I really talk about things that you can do with AI. And in this interview with Dr. White, it was incredible. It was amazing. It made me feel like a superstar or something. Um, but here I am again, just a guy that loves to play on the computer and learn how things work. And at the time, I'm working for Envision Technology. I'm traveling all over the place selling these glasses. And I think I mentioned that I had a stroke in 2022. And honestly, back in November last year, I woke up one morning and said, "Man, you had a stroke. Maybe you ought to slow down a little bit." So, like I said, I quit that wild job in January and started leaning into doing things that I wanted to do. Like I'm like this, like being here tonight and talking to you all. And on my website as well as another thing that I've put a lot of energy into. It's a Facebook group and it's called AI for the Blind. And one day in 2023, I think it was, um, I was running a podcast at the time. You can learn about that on my website. Um, and I just decided, okay, I'm going to make this AI Facebook group just so I can post all the stuff I do with AI. So I can have some place to post my images,
From number QRCH.
have the place to post the stories, are just all the things I do with AI. I want to promote and just post, have this one place where I can promote that kind of stuff. And so I made this group, and when I first made it, there were maybe 3 people in there. And I think it was this morning I looked, and there's over 12,000 people in the group. And and it's just people that
Wow.
want to learn about AI and how to use
Mm.
it. And so that's a
Wow.
free
How
resource.
so I think most folks are involved with Facebook. So you said, Shawn, that it's AI for the blind,
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Yes, it's a Facebook group.
And is there a lot of engagement and chats, and are you on there a little bit, or how
Yeah.
is that run typically?
I I mean I run the group. I post, at least 10 or 20 messages a week on there.
Cool.
Sometimes it's something I've learned. Sometimes it's something I'm trying. Sometimes it's a question. Sometimes I write a little novel and post it on there. And it's funny because everybody used to say, "Man, nobody's going to read that long form content." Well, somebody must be. Because I
Twelve
post it and
thousand.
it
That's awesome.
12,000. Yeah.
Isn't that's great.
12,000 people that want to hear something about AI, I guess. Even if half of
Hmm.
them are bots, that's still 12,000 people. Um,
Hmm.
that's amazing to me. And I love it. I love doing this. I love coming and talking about this. And hopefully you do. Hopefully you get something out of it because this AI stuff will change your world. Like I said, it's like having an amazing, brilliant 3-year-old around that can do anything. They can explain anything to you. And let me give you an example of that. I'm going to go over here
Screen sharing meeting. JAWS home
to
mute chat
my
GPT
computer
dash person.
here, my Chat GPT window. And Chat
Virtual.
GPT,
Wrapping enter.
Chat
Blank blank.
GPT is
E.
just um, one AI service out there. There are a lot of them. There's Google Gemini, um, there's Perplexity. There's a lot of them out there. Just about all of the companies. Microsoft has Copilot. That's built into Office. So just about everybody's on the bandwagon for AI now.
And how
And
do you choose which one, Shawn? How do you say, well, I have this type of program already installed on my computer, my phone, or how do you know which one to choose?
um, I would say pick whatever you have. Like if you have Copilot, then use that. Um, if you have Facebook Messenger, I mean it really anything. If you have Be My Eyes, go there. You can literally go to Be My Eyes and ask it a question like explain
Explain.
what
What?
a
A.
LL
LLM.
is.
Is. At. Chat. Send. Enter. Stop streaming. Chat
And
GP.
it's going to read back to me in a minute, and hopefully it won't be too jumbled.
Chat GPT says :A star star LLM star star or star star large language model star star is a type of artificial intelligence that has been trained on massive amounts of text so it can understand and generate human language. Here's the simplest way to think of it: number left pointing magnifying glass. What it star is star dash a star star computer program star star designed to understand and respond to human language dash trained using.
So literally, you can go to Be My Eyes and say, explain AI prompting to me, and it'll give you a real basic um, example of that. You could ask it to explain astrophysics to you, and it'll do that in the same. And it's amazing because AI never says no. I've never written anything in here and it said I can't do that. It always comes back with something. I even thought one day, I thought, surely I figured out the question that, it's not going to be able to do. I asked it to write me a story about a world with no even numbers, and it did that. So it always has an answer. Not saying it's always right. Sometimes it does get things wrong. Sometimes don't I, I don't believe I have to say this, but don't believe everything you hear. Do your own research and and make sure, don't go jump off a cliff just because the computer told you to. Um, you do have to use this stuff with a bit of common sense and all that. But for the most part, you can go to any AI model and get a basic understanding of how things work. All the stuff I'm talking about tonight. If you heard something so far that you're like, "No, I want to learn how to do that," go find an AI model and ask it, and it'll tell you. Um, I can help you learn how to use the apps and how to make it better, how to get more out of it. But the basics is really simple. Is just go find an AI model of some kind.
Hey, Shawn, we have a post here, a comment came in from Eric. It says, Be My Eyes is so great. A friend of mine is blind and lived in her house for 10 years and only found out what her neighbors' homes look like um, with Be My Eyes. How can you or Beth can include post these links into our YouTube description or in an email to the attendees? We can include to post these links. Yeah, we can do that somehow for sure. What you're talking about, I put it in the chat, just the blind HQ, AI
Yeah.
for the blind and stuff. We'll send out those finer points. We'll get those out to the group for sure.
Yeah, if you go to blindhq.com, you'll find everything else. AI for the blind is mentioned on there. Everything I do, I try to put on there. Even my Suno link, and somebody's gonna go, "What's Suno?" Suno is another, and let me talk about this so I can show you another cool.
From John Miller to all panelists: are most AI free to use?
Yes, they are. I heard that. Most AI models are free to use, and this next app I'm going to talk about is called Suno, Suno AI. It's also free. You can pay for it. You can get more features if you do pay for it. For example, I pay for ChatGPT. It's $20 a month, and that is well worth it. That is a steal compared to what you're able to do with the paid version of the app. You can get on there and use it for free if you're like, I don't know, I don't know what I think about this stuff. I don't want to give them any money. You can do that. You can go use it all for free, and trust me, you'll get hooked to where you're like, okay, where did I pay? How much was that
So,
again?
so do you want to just give a couple examples of the benefit if you pay that $20? What do you get above and beyond what normal folks who are doing it for free?
I think, and it's been so long since I had the free version of ChatGPT, um, that if you make images, you can only make like 5 a day, and with the paid $20 a month, it's unlimited. You can make as many AI images as you want. Um, there's some other features like there's a memory function in ChatGPT where anything you can tell you can tell it to remember that, and it'll save. It's like a save feature. It'll save things in memory. So I've gotten to the point where I can use that saved information in different ways. I can tell it I can go and have it write me lyrics, and I'll say in Shawn style, and it knows exactly what I mean by that. It knows the parameters I'm looking for. I'll say I'm writing a post for AI for the blind, and it knows how I normally write things. It knows how I format things. So that's a paid feature. Um, is getting more of that clarity, getting more use out of it. If you just want to go see if you can make an image and you're like, oh, I might do this once a day, then you can do that for free. You could go to Google Gemini. I think you can make unlimited pictures with them without paying. So it really comes down to what you want to get out of it. Um, Suno is this next app I want to talk about, and feel free to ask questions. I love questions because I'll forget. Um,
We're doing good.
before I talk about Suno, okay, we're good. Before
742.
I talk about Suno, let me talk a little bit more. Let me give one more example of how AI helps me every day. Um, because I run this group, AI for the Blind. I do all this other stuff, all this marketing, this promotion, this what I'm doing right here. And so one of the side effects from having a stroke is that I used to type like 90 words a minute. I used to type really fast, really accurately, and since my stroke, my left hand's weaker. My dexterity isn't quite as good as it used to be. It's better, it's a lot better than it was in 2022. But still, I struggle. When I write my posts, a lot of times I'll misspell or double letters or do something. And and I've got these prompts, these special prompts I use with ChatGPT, where I can write my novel post and then paste all of that into ChatGPT, and it spits it out perfect, like how I would normally write it. And I could probably do same thing with spell check, because spell check is really just another way of that we've all been using AI for all this time. Spell check and grammar check, that's AI. Um, if you've been using AI all along, you've been using Alexa and Siri, and those are just much simpler versions of AI, of using AI. So I use the large language model, the ChatGPT, to help me to write my posts. Nearly 99% of everything I write is using AI to help sort out my mistakes, my disability related things like that. Okay, so let me go on and move on to music. Because we've talked about images, we've talked about text. You can make videos the same way you can make images. You can do a lot of things with AI. People make animations all from text. And just understand that the basic thing that's consistent here is you're using text to generate everything. So you can use text to generate text. You can use text to generate images. You can use text to generate videos. or depending on the app you have, you can use text to generate music. And so um, I'm gonna give you an example of that, and I think y'all will really enjoy this. I made a CHM. I can't pronounce it. How do you say it, Beth? Quarteremic?
You're
I don't want
so
to get it wrong.
close. It's 5 syllables. Choroideremia.
Okay, well, AI did a lot better job of that. I made a song.
Prompt dash dog CHM dash.
I made y'all a theme song. Um,
Wow.
and this is all using AI prompting and text. I did all of this with text. And so if you get that Suno AI app, you can use it for free. I think you can make like 5 songs a day for free. If you pay $10 a month, you can and you if you go to my website, there's a link down there that goes to my profile on there. You can sign up under that and get a really special deal and all that. It helps both of us out. But let me let you hear this song that I made. And while you're listening to this, it's only about 3 minutes long. Give me a break here to drink some water. Um, just realize that I did all of this with text.
Enter. Media. 0. Play button.
Hey there, friend, have you heard the news? There's a crew bringing hope to folks like you. Step by step, yeah, they're on a roll, chasing cures, making vision whole. In the lab and across the globe, they're the heart, the light, the soul. For every family feeling unsure, they're bringing us closer to a cure. Light it up, Choroideremia. We're fighting for vision, yeah, feel that euphoria. From science to stories, from struggle to song, we're holding on tight and we're moving along. Light it up, Choroideremia. Hopes in our hands and we're dreaming it freer. No, we ain't stopping till we all can see a future lit up in clarity. This ain't just a name you read, it's a fire, a mission, a living creed. Families pushing, hearts align. With every trial we redefine. There's power in a helping hand, in every voice that takes a stand. We walk for the ones who paved the way, and the ones who'll dance in the light someday. Light it up, Choroideremia. We're fighting for vision, yeah, feel that euphoria. From science to stories, from struggle to song, we're holding on tight and we're moving along. Light it up, Choroideremia. Hopes in our hands and we're dreaming it free. No, we ain't stopping till we all can see a future lit up in clarity. CHM, we got your back. No more fear, we're on the track. Dreaming bold and reaching far. This is who we truly are. Light it up, Choroideremia. We're rising up stronger, we're changing the media. Tell the world, let them know our name. We're lighting up lives and changing the game. Light it up, Choroideremia. We're fighting for vision, yeah, feel that euphoria. From science to stories, from struggle to song, we're holding on tight and we're moving along. Light it up, Choroideremia. Hopes in our hands and we're dreaming it freer. No, we ain't stopping till we all can see a future lit up in clarity. For Choroideremia.
Oh my goodness.
From iPhone H Eric to all panelists: you know a go-to you tutor.
Well, you like that?
I was texting Kathy while this was going on. It's Eric says, Eric, you know what?
Kathy-
That didn't come through. Kathy says that was incredible.
Speech on demand.
It says, do you know, oh, maybe this is what Eric's saying is, do you know a good tutor for Chat GBT? Great song. Yeah, it didn't come through real good, Eric, but I think
Yeah,
that's what
yeah,
you're looking for.
Okay, so a basic tutor, a real easy tutor is ChatGPT itself, because you can ask it literally anything you want to know about how to do all this. If you if you want one-on-one or something like that, check out my website and get in touch. Be glad to help somebody. I'm reasonable, all that. I'm happy to help people one-on-one if they want that. Not trying to toot my own horn there, but I can spell it out and really help you learn what you want to learn to do with it, or come next Tuesday for sure. And it'll be a
Mhm.
group session. We'll go through more examples. I'm hoping, definitely next week we can, anybody that wants to learn can, unmic and let's just sit here and talk about it, and I'll give, you can give me ideas, I'll make a picture, I'll make a song, and really give you the details on how all that works.
That actually would be great. So next week I can unmute everyone, and I think that would be a
Yeah,
great session, Shawn. We had more
yeah.
comments that just came in, FYI, that just people were amazed. A couple of comments here about they loved the song.
My link, blindhq.com, there's a link to my Suno profile, and I've got something like 4,000 songs on there. So knock yourself out. There's all kinds of good stuff on there. I have music out on the streaming services. So if you have Spotify or Alexa or something, I have a band. I call it my virtual band. It's called Velvet Circuit, and I got about 40 or 50 songs out there now. There's one I really like. I made for my best friend. It's called "How to Make a George Strait Song" by Velvet Circuit. So ask your smart device to play "How to Make a George Strait Song" by Velvet Circuit, and that's me. That's my AI skills there.
Were you going to talk a
But
little bit
yeah,
more about this? Oh, sorry. Were you going to talk a little bit more, Shawn, about Suno AI tonight, or did you want to? We have about 10 more minutes,
yeah. I mean, I mean, it's in
or
in
or it's up to you how you'd like to finish the last 10 minutes with our group.
if anybody has any questions, feel free to put those in there and let's get those answered as well. And I
Mhm.
can definitely talk about the music. The music is great. And you hear me say I got 4,000 songs up there. A lot of those songs are just made because I'm telling you, the great part of this is you can take a negative experience and turn it into a song, and all of a sudden it just changes how you feel. I was telling my wife the other day, I was like, sometimes I can just be sitting here on the computer and think, I'm down or I'm bummed out, I'm bummed out about something. And I'll make a song and instantly it'll change my mood. So it's a great tool to have. I pay $10 a month so I can make 2,500 songs that 90% of them nobody ever hears but me. Because it's just me using that art. Um, there's a blind guy, and this doesn't have anything to do with AI. There's a blind guy here in Texas from Denton. Y'all should get him to come talk for you. His name is John Bramlett. He's a painter. He paint. And you can look him up. John Bramlett. Bramblitt, I believe is his last name. And he's a painter. He paints murals. He paints custom prints. He does some amazing stuff. And at one of my previous jobs, I got to interview John one time, and he said something that is so true. He said art is a way to deal with negative feelings or negative experiences. He is so right. Because he paints to get through his life, and And I make music and images and silly things I post online to help me get through my days. Are there any questions we got yet? Any comments? Any?
Let's see. Yes. Following up on the mental health benefits, I have heard about AI counselors you can talk to for free. Have you ever experimented with any of these types of tools?
Yes, and literally I just use ChatGPT for that. Especially since, like I said, if you use the paid version, it has a lot of memory functions. I wouldn't say that, and I just want to put a disclaimer that this is not a professional help. But if it's all you got, it's a lot better than nothing. Because I've
Mm.
asked some pretty deep questions about the stroke I had, and about it's called plasticity, I believe, and it's how your brain rewires itself after a
Mhm.
stroke, and how you can. I like to tell people I think I'm smarter now than I was before my stroke.
Mhm.
Um, but I'll tell you honestly, you know, AI helped me change my life, helped me change my career. It helped me solve an addiction. I mean, over a year ago, I was a weekend alcoholic, and I don't drink anymore. So, it's made a lot of amazing changes in my life. And it will do amazing things for you. Just be careful and realize you're talking to a computer.
Right. That's a good reminder for sure. Here comes another question. What other creative arts can you do? Acting, role playing, what other things?
Yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of things, and again, if you go to my website, um, there's a podcast that I used to run. It started out as one name, and then it became AI for the Blind, and I think it's Blind HQ Radio. I ended that podcast because I felt like I was just kind of going in circles, and I didn't really have a direction for it anymore. But there's about 170 episodes there, and a lot of that is just me tinkering around with AI. And one thing I did was this kind of like these little skits I would make, these little um, where using AI voices. That's another thing. There's a website we can definitely dig into next week. It's called 11 Labs, and what it
Mm.
allows you to do is record things in using text um, to an AI voice. I have this AI voice, Chris, that I use for a lot of my skits and stuff. And I'd make these silly little, almost like old time radio sounding modern skits, if anybody can relate to that. Um, where it was like acting out something. I'll definitely play one of those next week. I didn't think about that. That's a great idea though, because I have little things I made, and it's for fun. And all this is for fun. All this is for me. I do this because I enjoy it. If some
Mhm.
other people get some out of it, that's great. But I do it because it helps me.
Hey, Sean, here's a question that came in. It said, is there a way to tell on social media if it was created by AI?
I think so. And that's a thing that you'll hear a lot. So people will
Mhm.
say that image looks AI, and but every kind of content has kind of a telltale sign. So digital art, a lot of times people they can tell as soon as they look at it, that's digital art, or something, you can, if you look at a painting, you can probably be like, oh, that's, that's an oil painting, just from the way it looks. So I believe AI has some kind of telltale thing to it that maybe it looks too perfect, maybe it looks too good or something. I don't know. I'm a blind guy. I can't see it. So um, but I think the answer is yes. The same thing with text. If you just go to ChatGPT and say, write me a story um, about whatever, about a puppy, it'll spit out a story, and you'll see that AI generally has some phrases that it uses a lot. You'll know that a computer wrote it. You'll know just by reading it that a computer wrote it. But if you said, write me a story about a puppy in simple casual language, then that's using prompting. That's using this skill that I'm talking about. That's learning how to generate the right kind of content that you want. And because literally I use the prompting skills all the time. I know exactly how it's going to respond when I put something in there to generate something for me. It doesn't mean that I don't still edit it. I do. I will generate content, my emails or what have you, all using AI to spit out the meat, the real um, content itself. But I'll still go through and edit and change words and fix things I don't like. Um, but instead of spending 2 hours on an email, I can spend 5 minutes on an email that would have taken me 2 hours to write.
Hmm. There's a question that came in. It says, Shawn, do you use, it's Plaud, Plaudi web? It's AI.
Yes. Yeah. So as I mentioned, there are other sources, there are other services out there. Right now, for up until this point, I've used ChatGPT that's made by OpenAI. That's the one I've primarily used for everything. Recently, as of like 2 days ago, I did pay for Google Gemini. They're also $20 a month. Claude, what is it? There's one called Claude. There's there's other Perplexity. There's other ones out there, and just about all of them have a subscription fee. Um, Most of them are pretty inexpensive, like $20 a month. So right now, I mean, I'm just paying for Chat GPT and Gemini. And the only reason I got Gemini is because now they have a way to make videos that's a lot easier. And so I'm kind of experimenting with that, but amazingly, I haven't gotten really much into making videos. I really like making music. That's kind of my forte. And I like making pictures.
Clearly, clearly it was great. Here's a question that came in. Have you been successful in monetizing any of your creative endeavors, selling your digital art, creating AI music videos on YouTube videos, creating t-shirts for sale on Shopify, etc.?
I know a lot of people who have, and it really one thing I've learned in life is nothing happens overnight. Um,
Mhm.
it all takes effort. Even no matter if the AI is helping you out. Um, I have 40 or so songs out on the streaming services, and I think the last time I looked, I made about $17 off months worth of people streaming my music. But that doesn't deter me. That just means I need more people listening. um, so a friend of mine, what do they call it? They call it there's a term for income that comes reoccurring like that. There's a word I can't
Mhm.
think of,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
it 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 happens slowly. I've done a lot of stuff. I haven't had anything just explode, but I tell you, me and my wife, we're going to exhibit at this convention this summer in Dallas, and um, and I was telling my wife this morning, I was like, yeah, I need to get a tablecloth. And I'll make the image using AI for the tablecloth. And I never could have done that before. That wasn't anything I ever had the ability to do before. But I'll make the image and I will send it to the company to make the tablecloth. And at my booth this summer, we're going to take our sound bar. We have this really big sound bar, and we're going to play a playlist of AI music that I made just for the exhibit hall. So the way I see it, there'll be a couple thousand blind people at this convention. Everybody's going to know where our table is.
It's a great idea. That's fabulous. Wow. Let me just check if there's any other questions. How about if you want to give us any homework assignments, Shawn, just a couple things nuggets that we can take and kind of work on so that when we come back next week. Is there anything that you'd like us to prep for
Yeah,
or get ready
take
for?
some time. Take some time with whatever AI you might have access to, even if it's just Be
Okay.
My's. Go in there and ask it for a basic understanding of AI prompting. Ask it questions like how does an image model work, or just things like that, just to have kind of a better basic. And then if you come back with I didn't understand this or this wasn't clear.
Mhm.
Then we can be a little bit more specific on things. Believe me, it's all text. It's all text based. It's all, and I get questions all the time. I'm trying to do this and I'm trying to make this image and it's just not coming out right. And I'll offer up a few tidbits and then it'll work right. And it's logical. It's a lot of logical thinking. Sometimes people go, well, it didn't make it. It made the dog, but it didn't put a collar on there. And I'm like, did you tell it to put a collar? No. It's a lot of things like that. Sometimes it's how you
Mhm.
ask the question.
That'll be fun to do together next week.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming tonight. This has been a lot of fun. I,
I
I
love
think,
this.
yeah, well, I think this is a new opportunity, certainly for quality of life, new hobbies. At the conference, typically we have a conference every other year, and that's something that is frequently asked about hobbies. What do people do as their vision deteriorates? So this is something that's really in that sweet spot for sure. Um, there is something. Eric just chimed in. He says AI generated painting is getting a bit crazy for artists. Eric is an artist. And a friend described a painting of mine to GPT to end up close to my impressionist paintings of sunflowers. Yeah. So,
Yeah, and I get that, and think this is a new mode. This is a new type of art. I think it's almost its own genre, maybe that AI art or AI
mm,
music is. I think, and I make all kinds of songs. I make country songs. I make all kinds of music, but something I've been experimenting with recently is that, maybe we should use AI to make things that are AI oriented. Maybe we figure out that with AI art, you can mix different modes together. Maybe you can have a steampunk oil painting or something. I don't know. Maybe
mm,
there's got to be a way because it's not going anywhere. It's not AI is not
it's
it's
here.
not going to disappear tomorrow. And even if
Hmm.
all 12,000 people in my group stop using it today, that wouldn't even dent the surface. So it's here. We just all got to figure out how to use it better.
And get brave and try. That would be
Yep.
me.
Yep. You
Shawn,
do.
thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it so very much. We'll be sharing this out with our members
Gold teeth.
tomorrow, the next day, and we'll see you next week.
I love it. I thank you so much for having me. This is what I love doing. So, I mean,
Yeah.
y'all come and let's do it.
All right. Perfect. Thanks, Shawn.
CHM.
Hey, good night. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next
OTEP 4.
week.
Meeting.